Welcome back to another episode of Sports Wrap with me, Agatha, and the Fighting Maroon, Naveen. Let's first address the oblation in the room. So, Naveen, can you explain why you're wearing that t-shirt?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, the De La Salle Green Archers faced the UP Fighting Maroons. I'm from La Salle, Agatha is from UP, and for some reason I decided to bet with her that La Salle would win, and she bet that UP would win.
Naturally.
And the consequence was...
You'd have to wear a UP shirt in our next shoot.
Exactly. You know, with 10 seconds left in that game, I was already picking out the La Salle shirt Agatha was gonna wear. And then, I really don't know what happened. You know, I think I just blacked out and my memory just...
this close, I remember. I was this close to wearing a green shirt, except for 1 point.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Juan. Thanks, bro.
But first, let's go talk about the sports headlines this week. In boxing, Yumir Marshall wins a silver in the World Championships middleweight division. This is also great for our boxing team, which he will be leading in the SEA Games. And in weightlifting, Hyland Diaz wins a bronze in the World Championships as well in the 55-kilogram division.
That's great also in preparation for Heidelin for the upcoming 2020 Tokyo Olympics. It would be her third Olympics and everyone knows she won silver the last time around. The more success she gains on the way to Tokyo, the better for the Philippines, obviously.
Mm-hmm. And in volleyball, our Philippine team finishes third in the ASEAN Grand Prix. This is in preparation for the SEA Games.
So, in the first leg of the ASEAN Grand Prix, they finished third, but that was without Alyssa Valdez. And that's a name that is recognized in the volleyball community anywhere in this country. They have 3 more games for the second leg against Indonesia, Vietnam, and of course, powerhouse team Thailand in preparation for the SEA Games. Volleyball has become a popular sport over the past few years, and when the Southeast Asian Games take place here in our home country in a few weeks, that's definitely going to be one of the sports that the audience will be eager to watch.
Yes, that's very exciting because they're doing so well, and we'll see what they have in store for us.
Speaking of the SEA Games, we have some big news too with one of the other major sports for the upcoming tournaments.
We have a new coach who can be considered as the winningest mentor in PBA history. That's Tim Cohn. And he's coming up with a lineup that is also mostly composed of PBA players as well.
All composed of PBA players, in fact. And if you look at the lineup that Cohn has selected to represent the country, there are a lot of veteran players, you know. A lot of guys are from his Ginebra team. The youngest player, I believe, is Scotty Thompson. But you have Greg Slaughter, you have Japet Aguilar, you have L.A. Tenorio, you have Chris Ross from the San Miguel Beermen. Then he also has some talk and text standouts like Troy Rosario, Jason Castro. I think that the players that Cohn selected to be part of the Philippine team represents the kind of game plan he likes to have when he goes into matches. For instance, defense-oriented. Elder guys in PBA rosters are more knowledgeable when it comes to defense, which is
veterans, right?
Exactly, veterans. And there are a lot of Ginebra players because, of course, Cohn coaches Ginebra in the PBA, and having guys who's used to his system is going to be important. Now, I'm not so sure if the triangle system that coach uses in the PBA will be also what he uses in international competition, but from a defensive perspective, there's a lot of potential for the team. One, because more than being a great offensive mastermind, Coach Cohn loves defense. You know, he prioritizes defense to all his teams. And 2, because when you look at the composition of the roster right now, I think the potential, once all of them get used to each other, it could be very exciting.
What you said is very true. It's really exciting to see that he can play into his strengths and what he's really familiar with, the players that he's familiar with, what he's used to, and we can't wait to see that.
Yeah, I just have to say I'm also very excited to see Chris Ross wear the Philippine national team roster. I think that over the past few years, he's established himself as one of the PBA's best players. And if there's someone who knows defense, it's Chris Ross.
All right, can't wait to see that. On to the UAAP, we have a blowout game to talk about and some controversies. And here to tell you all about it is our resident Fighting Maroon.
So, the first round ended with Ateneo defeating UP in blowout fashion in their finals rematch. Yeah, one big fight, I know. But also, what really caught the attention of the public was what happened in the second half of the game with Coach Bo. Can I say charged at the referee? Because he approached the referee. But So Coach Bo went near to one of the game officials and was very unhappy with the technical foul that the official gave to Bright Akweti. And because of that, Coach Bo was ejected from the game and he was on memes on social media and he became the talk of the town, yada yada. But I think one of the main takeaways from that game was that in a finals rematch, which was heavily anticipated, Ateneo showed that they still are the favorites of the UAAP.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of people were saying it was system versus talent, or system and talent versus system.
Correct.
So, I just want to ask you though, do you think that Coach Bo's actions merit that kind of consequence? So do you think that the 3-game suspension is justified?
I think that 3 games was a little too much. I think 2 would have been fair because Coach Bo has a history of outbursts. The first was when he tried to approach a fan when he was with Ateneo in a game against LaSalle, and the second was last season when he was already with UP and also against the Blue Eagles. He complained to the referees about something he didn't feel was fair. 3 though, I think, is pushing it a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, well, from what I understand, usually they give out, 1-game suspensions, right? And I feel like 1 game is enough. I know he has some history, but those are previous seasons and in different schools actually. He was coaching for different schools, so I think 1 game is enough. I don't know about 3 games. I think it might be a little bit of an overreaction. As some people from UP, some fans from UP might say, they're stopping us from greatness.
We're also not reporting that the UAAP took Bo's pass into account because according to their press release, that wasn't really mentioned. But one has to wonder because the severity being 3 games was pretty severe.
Yeah.
If it was factored in.
Yeah. I mean, how do you think that's going to play into the team's future games?
Well, the first team they're facing is FEU. And I'm sure everyone in the UAP will agree that FEU is no walk in the park. They're inconsistent, especially on offense, but they're always physical. They're always ready to beat you up on the boards. They're always ready to play you until the very end. So if UP wants to get this win, and I'm assuming they're going to try and get this win for their coach, they will have to play much more prepared, and they can't be caught off guard by FEU smash mouth type of basketball.
Yeah, for sure. And with UP, for example, we're talking about how just talented the players are, and they all have something to say, something to contribute to the team. But without one voice that's really telling them what to do and pushing them in the right direction, in a singular direction, that might be their problem for the next coming games, because it's no doubt that they're talented. It's no doubt that they can handle it. It's just that without Coach Bo guiding them or being that singular voice, it's going to be difficult for sure.
Well, Agatha, there's a reason why the UP Maroons call Coach Bo Father Bo.
Yes.
It's because he's a father figure to them. And you could see against Ateneo, once Bo left the court, UP unraveled. It's because for a team with so much challenge, suddenly so many expectations this year, the whole country is watching them because they're the talk of the town. You need that leader to guide you and keep you in the right path. And to be 100% frank, Coach Bo is that leader. And without him, they will have to figure out how to maneuver past it.
Yeah, for sure. And with the first round behind us, let's talk about the next round, the second round. What are we looking forward to, and what do we think is gonna unfold next?
Well, the next time LaSalle and UP play each other, I really hope the ball just, doesn't magically land in the hands of a Maroon, like over and over and over again. Listen, the Green Archers are driving me wild. Okay, they are inconsistent. Sometimes they look like they're ready to contend for a championship. Sometimes they look like they might be in the bottom of the standings. We will get answers. I'm just really hoping that, again, they don't just give wins away.
Yeah. But speaking of inconsistency, we have a lot of teams that are exhibiting that kind of behavior this season. We have LaSalle, FEU, and Adamson.
Correct.
So with FEU on the other hand, we have kind of a similar thing where some games they're playing so well, some games they aren't. So when we don't know what FEU team is going to play this time around, do you think that that's gonna change anytime in the second round?
Well, see, the thing with FEU is they have a bunch of young guys. If you ask me this question 3 years from now, I'm gonna tell you FEU is a championship contender because by then their young standouts will have improved. You have LJ Gonzalez, you have Cyrus Torres, you have Abarientos coming in next season. And the fact that they're there in the Final Four hunt while a lot of their standouts are in their early years, it's actually impressive. Will they make the Final Four? Yeah, I'm not really quite sure. I'd say no.
And moving on to Adamson, what do you think will be happening to them in the second round?
First of all, some tragic news that took place. A fire broke out near the Adamson campus in San Marcelino about a week ago. We hope that everyone's recovered from that. The Soaring Falcons, I will never count out a team coached by Franz Pumaran. I just think he's that good of a head coach. I think his history proves that when you count him out, that's when he comes back and starts winning. So, the Soaring Falcons, led by Val Chauca, Jerica Missy, these are some bad boys. These are guys who can put points on the board really quickly.
Val Chauca, so impressive.
I am waiting for more consistency from their big men. I think that's the key. If their bigs can contribute more than they have been, sure, they'll be there maybe as the 4th or 3rd seed. But until then, Adamson's kind of frisky right now.
Yeah. So we have our 3 teams that are inconsistent, but we have NU, for example, that have been consistently close to winning. How do you think they'll fare in the second round?
I have to be honest with you, I am not sure what to make out of NU. I mean, they had a bunch of 1-point losses to like LaSalle and UP also, and they played UST well, they played Adamson well. Then they beat FEU in blowout fashion, and I'm like, okay, here come the Bulldogs. They finally figured out how to win, and now they're gonna go on a run, and then they lose the next game to UE. Now, let's be fair. UE is a talented team. Ray Suerte is a very talented player. I like Philip Panalang. I think he's a game manager. Neil Tolentino, I'll never forget what he did against LaSalle. Revenge game. But I'm just not sure about the Bulldogs. I like Dave and Sean. I think that they have the talent, they have the coach to. That's why they were in these games. That's why they were in these close games, because they have the pieces to compete.
Yes.
But it just feels like when you expect the Bulldogs to compete at a consistent level, they let you down a little bit, then they tease you again, then again it goes down. When can it stay at that consistent level, and when can they keep rising?
And if they can build that up and actually use those pieces to their advantage, I think they could possibly impress us in the second round some more. Yeah,
exactly. I think they'll win more than one game in the second round. I think they'll win 2 or 3. Honestly, if I'm LaSalle, I'm a little petrified of NU because the Bulldogs have historically played them well over the past few years. But again, someone else aside from Dave and Sean will have to step up. I like what we're seeing from Gallego and Hoson, but I need to see more from the rest of the team. Isagaye, some days he'll have a double-double, some days he'll not show up. What's happening there? Can he show up? Because NU needs him. Without him, they're not going to win a lot of games.
Yeah. And of course, we move on to Ateneo, our favorite. Everyone's favorite.
Yes, everyone.
I mean, they're doing so well. I don't think there's much to say except good job, Ateneo. You're proving to us that you're consistent. They're the most consistent team right now.
Yeah.
Consistently winning and giving good performances.
What I'm gonna say is something that scares me, and I wrote about this a few days ago. The Blue Eagles lost only 2 games last year on the way to the championship. And a bunch of those games they won by blowout. They're even better this year. They are even better. SJ Belangel, Will Navarro, the young standouts from last year, look like they're ready to contribute. They're playing so well that veterans Sturdy Ravenna and Mike Nieto didn't have to play major minutes in the 4th quarter in some of their games. I mean, like against UP. SJ and Will destroyed the Maroons defense.
Yeah.
If Ateneo's young guys are already good this fast, first, that's thanks to Coach Tab Baldwin, him and his coaching staff are great at developing players. And also, second, I really don't know what they're going to do with the UAP the rest of the way. It would be nice to see someone challenge Ateneo and make the league interesting. You know, UP, LaSalle, UST, someone. But for now, I have to admit, Ateneo looks like the favorite.
That's
and
true.
a very good favorite at that.
Maybe we should be wearing blue actually right now. Oh.
Yeah, that will be
That
a
will be
conversation for a different day.
That will be for another bet.
That will be... Yeah.
Speaking of good performances, we have UST who is third in the standings and have players that are leading in the individual stats. So we have for the MVP, we have Chabio, my favorite name.
Best name in the UAAP.
Yeah.
Best name since Papi Sar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And in the Rookie of the Year race, you have Mark Nono and Sherwin Concepcion leading the pack. UST as a team, I think they have the best shot at beating Ateneo.
Yeah, I agree.
Based on, I remember we talked about it, how UST played so well against them. Since then, the Tigers have dropped a little bit. But the fact that they have players leading both in the Rookie of the Year race and MVP race bodes well for UST's present and also future.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it just goes to show that they have really good players and players to bank on.
Right.
That can lead them to better performances as well in the future. Yeah.
Now, Chabio has really stood out this season. He will be very important if UST will go far in the Final Four. He's also one of the many talented foreign student athletes that we have. This season, we've had a few the past few seasons. Although the time of foreign student athletes, according to one person, should come to an end. PBA owner Mikey Romero is seeking a ban on foreign student athletes playing college basketball, which is ironic because this is the same guy who said that Gila should have more than one naturalized player. I think he even said we should have multiple naturalized players. And the PBA also uses imports, so from there, it kinda is confusing. I just think it's inhumane, you know?
Yeah.
I think that a college team is allowed 15, 16 players per team, and only one goes to a foreign student athlete.
Exactly.
A foreign student athlete who, by the way, also studies and attains an education, like Bright Aqueti of UP.
Yes.
He's a Dean's Lister, right? Ben Embalao was also an honor student, believe it or not, when he was in LaSalle, according to some posts on Instagram by his friends. So these foreign student athletes travel from humble beginnings abroad, come for a chance to play basketball here, a career, a future at basketball, and also to gain an education. And we're going to take away one of those from them. Sure, they might still be able to study here, but why should we take away from them the same right that their classmates would have, which is to be a student athlete?
Exactly. And we have to understand that they're fighting for one of 16 seats in a roster. So that's a very small part of the roster of UAAP, NCAA, or PBA, or whatever it is.
Right.
But they also contribute to a certain level of competitiveness that a lot of players are saying, why are you going to ban this kind of player if this player can contribute to the talent pool and making our basketball, our local basketball, more competitive?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. And you know what it sounds like to me? It sounds like an excuse. It's like a way of saying, these guys are so good. You know what's one way that we can beat them? Let's just ban them from playing. And honestly, that sounds a little cowardly, in my opinion. I think that these foreign student athletes elevate the game. For instance, Justin Baltazar, he's an MVP candidate for LaSalle this season. I guarantee you he wouldn't be as good as he is now if he didn't go up against Mbala in practice every day. UP's big men, I'm sure going up against Bright every day helps them, you know?
It challenges them.
Exactly.
allows them,
Yeah. And a lot of the players in the UAAP after college, they go to the PBA where they will face imports as well. That's what they're called, imports,
Yes.
right? So why not face as foreign student athletes in college and get better from there? I think that the amount of talent we have in college basketball now is the best it's ever been.
Yes.
You know, if you look at every team, there's just so much talent. And one of the reasons why I think that's manifested is because the impact of foreign student athletes has forced our local players to improve as well.
Yeah, that's true. And on a larger scale, we talked about this with Gilas, for example, where we want our players to be exposed to different types of basketball,
Correct.
to different talents internationally. But if we don't allow even just the slightest amount of international players and players who can contribute to our own local basketball, then how do we expect our local basketball to be able to compete against international basketball teams as well?
Exactly. Yeah, I think that the UAAP has become better because of these foreign student athletes, and I would really like to see this resolution go nowhere.
For sure.
Exactly.
And that's all we have for today, for now.
There's always something big happening in the Philippine sports scene, and with the UAP about to enter the second round, the PBA starting, and the SEA Games fast approaching, I'm excited for what's to come.
We have a lot on our plate. He's Naveen.
And she's Agatha.
UP fight!
And that's a wrap.